Pug parked as close as he could to the water and climbed down amongst the huge rocks at the shoreline. All morning he clambered over the rocks, first on one side of the wrecked bridge, then on the other. He looked all along the shore. Finally, he gave up the search and decided to cool his feet in the water before going home to lunch. A broad split rock slanted down to the water's edge. It looked like a good place to sit. Pug took off his sneakers and socks, but when he stood up to roll his jeans, he accidentally knocked one sneaker into the crack of the rock. Uh-oh, I hope I can reach it, Pug thought anxiously. Lying on his stomach, he began to fish for his shoe in the split of the rock. Suddenly, his eye caught the glint of noonday sun on metal. Pug reached down and, unbelievably, he pulled up a weathered mouth organ. His fingers shook as he wiped it carefully. The wood had almost all rotted away, and the metal plates were rusted but intact. Trembling with excitement, Pug placed the mouth organ carefully inside his shirt. It took him twice as long as usual to put on his shoes and socks. 5 thumbs on both hands, just when I'm in a hurry, he muttered. Then he dashed to his bicycle and headed home. In his room, Pug scrubbed away the rust and dirt to see the letters M.D. scratched on one metal surface. The mouth organ had indeed belonged to Miles. I have to find a really safe place to keep it, Pug thought. Maybe he could tape it to the back of the pine chest. Helen would never try to move a big piece of furniture like that. Pug took hold of the chest near the top and pulled and pushed until it came away from the wall. In the process, a loose pine knot fell out of the back of the chest. When Pug started to replace the knot, he saw that behind the hole was a solid panel made of unevenly joined pieces of wood. His heart leapt. With eager fingers, he pressed into one piece of the wood and then another. Nothing happened. Then he pulled down at the bottom piece, and there was a definite click. In great excitement, Pug moved around to the front of the chest. The smooth wood above the top drawer now jutted forward slightly. Carefully, Pug pulled at it, not daring to believe his eyes. It was a secret drawer, and in the drawer lay an old copybook. Pug picked up the book and opened it. Yes, it had belonged to Miles. There were not many entries. The first was dated May 15th, 1900. May 15th, 1900. Eb and I found a Jim Dandy hideout today. Followed the crick through the 2 pastures to Billy Goat Hill. Tore my pants on the second rail fence. Took Eb and me both to pile up 4 rocks on top of each other to mark the spot on the ledge. Swore we would keep it a secret. May 17th. Ma gave us her old dough table and a chest for the hideout. Had to let them down into the cave with ropes. Eb got 2 chairs. Found some old pots and a couple of candlesticks Ma said we could have out of the attic. May 20th. Raining cats and dogs. Hideout dry as a bone. Decided to use Ma's chest in the hideout for all our private stuff. May 31st. Went swimming today and caught Billy Blue Blazes from Ma. Met Eb at the hideout after supper, and he said he got it from his Ma, too. June 25th. Late for supper. Lucky Eb and I found some strawberries. Best spot we ever had. Up on the hill, left of the apple tree. Pa would have tanned me if I had not had the berries for Ma to make him some jam. July 1st. Eb's calf looks better than mine, but I have almost 6 weeks before the fair to fatten mine. July 15th. Eb and I had worked out a code. Ezra's been after Ma about the stuff we took from the attic. Besides, he makes fun of us. It will serve him right if he finds one of our notes and can't make heads or tails of it. Eb says I better write the key down so I'll be able to read the notes myself because I have a memory like a sieve. I gave him a black eye to remember there's nothing wrong with my fists. July 15th. Eb and I have worked out a code. Ezra had been after Ma about the stuff we took from the attic. Besides, he makes fun of us. It will serve him right if he finds one of our notes but can't make heads or tail of it. Eb says I had better write the key down so I'll be able to read the note myself because I have a memory like a sieve. Gave him a black eye to remind him there's nothing wrong with my fists. At the margin of his entry, Pug saw the figures. 26 above 3 equals 0. Under this was a string of letters. G, Y, K, Q, U, C, C, R, M, L, D, Y, L, L W K W Q C J D. He read on. August 10th. I have 50 cents saved for the fair. Going to get me a mouth organ. Eb thinks I'm crazy. Says I can't play for sour apples anyway. He wants a jackknife. August 11th. Had a fight with Eb today. Saw him pass a note to Fanny. Lot of good it will do her. I got a hold of the note he sent her. It gave away the key to our secret code. Criminentlies. I was mad as a wet hen. August 12th. Fanny has the mumps. Made up with Eb. We're going to the fair, same as always. He said I could use his new jackknife to scratch my initials onto my new mouth organ. That was the last entry. Pug closed the yellowed book and put it back in the shallow drawer. Zowie, a hideout and a code. 26/3 = 0. That must be the key to the code. Pug wrapped the mouth organ gently in a handkerchief and laid it beside the copybook. Then he closed the drawer, replaced the pine knot, and shoved the chest back to its original position. Even on close examination, he would never have known the drawer was there. What a hiding place. Chapter 8. Pure Accident. Pug was eager to hunt for the secret hideout that Miles had described. He planned to do it that very afternoon, but it began to rain. As it continued to rain heavily for a week, Pug was the only one of the Allens who did not mind the rain. He was busy working on Miles's code. It can't be so doggone hard, he thought. I'm not going to admit that Miles was that much smarter than I am, but I sure don't have much to work on. Let's see. 26/3 = 0. Then that list of letters. Pug tried a couple of things, but he didn't break the code. On the third rainy morning, Pug was having a donut and a glass of milk. His mother was washing the breakfast dishes. Mr. Allen wandered into the big kitchen. All year I've had given anything for time to relax and do absolutely nothing, Mr. Allen said, and now I find I don't know how to do nothing. He walked over to the window and drummed on the pane as he looked at the drenched landscape. I've read and reread all the books. Anyway, I'm too restless to read anymore. Why don't you listen to the radio? Nothing but tripe in the daytime. Mrs. Allen laughed, but Pug thought she didn't really sound amused. Honestly, Jim, you're as hard to entertain as the children. You might start the annual paper you always write for the Pen and Camera Club. I should think this would be the ideal time to get your material in order. Don't think I haven't tried. Nothing comes. I can't get 2 consecutive sentences on paper. He sounded frustrated. Mrs. Allen finished drying the dishes in silence. Pug was increasingly uneasy. They might have a long siege of rain. What if his father really was unable to find anything he liked to do in the bad weather? Pug could not remember ever seeing his father sit idle. He was always reading or writing or working in the darkroom developing pictures. Pictures? Of course. Gee whiz, Dad, he burst out. Why didn't you print the snaps you took when we first got here? With what? His father asked. I didn't bring any equipment. No room. But I brought some of mine, Pug said. My trays and developing tank and everything may not be as good as yours, but they'd be better than nothing. I just brought the bare necessities, Mom, he said defensively. All I left out of my bag that you told me to put in there were my raincoat and galoshes. So that's why you're not out puddling around, his mother commented in a milder tone than Pug had expected. Mr. Allen quit jingling the coins in his pocket and turned from the window. Developing pictures might help me get that paper started, but I'd need a darkroom. Couldn't you use the cellar? No running water. Mr. Allen dismissed the idea of the basement with a wave of the hand. The darkroom should be near the kitchen or the bathroom. How about the pantry? Pug asked. I don't want, his mother began, then threw up her hands feebly. All right, use the pantry. I've just been using the kitchen end of it. You can put the things I use out here, and the rest of the hodgepodge of cans can go down to the cellar. That counter and the shelves at the far end look as if the pantry had been used as a catch-all for years. It does look like a glory hole, Mr. Allen admitted, opening the door and looking in. But we can fix that, Alice. Sure, Dad and I can build you a cupboard right here in the corner of the kitchen where it'll be convenient, Pug offered. He was relieved to hear that note of cheerfulness that had crept into his father's voice. You and your father? Mrs. Allen hooted. You're both long on theory and short on practice. Perhaps you haven't noticed that I'm the one who fixes the ironing cord or puts a new washer in the faucet. I can build you a cupboard if I put my mind to it, Mr. Allen said firmly. Mrs. Allen shook her head. Unless the cupboard came in a kit complete with a gremlin to put it together, I might just as well call a carpenter. Mr. Allen grinned but didn't answer. He was already sorting the pile of things to go down the cellar. An hour later, Mr. Allen came upstairs, dusty and rumpled, with a dilapidated brown book which he held reverently. "Look at what I found, by pure accident," he said. "Listen to this title. The Farmer's and Emigrant's Complete Guide, or a Handbook with copious hints, recipes, and tables designed for the farmer and emigrant." "It was behind a drawer," Pug said to his mother. The whole drawer came out on top of him. "What shall I do with this, Dad?" he asked, holding up an old hip boot. "What?" Mr. Allen looked up vaguely from the book. "Oh, wear it, Pug, wear it," he said, and went on reading. Pug took immediate advantage of the advice and the fact that his mother was pushing his father into the living room with his book. "Ha! We'll call this the do-it-yourself age," Mr. Allen was saying. "What about our forefathers?" "Alice, I've got it. I know what my pen and camera paper will be about." Pug hurried back to the pantry to find the mate to his hip boot. There was Miles sitting on the counter, swinging his feet and whistling. "Where have you been all this time? I thought you must be mad at me." "No, I just couldn't bring myself to appear in this weather. It puts a fellow in the doldrums." "That's for sure," Pug agreed. "I was scared to death Dad would want to go back to Fairtown because of it." "You can thank me that you're not loaded into that vehicle you call a station wagon and rolling toward the city right now," Miles said smugly. "I am your father's pure accident." "What do you mean?" "I came today just to get your father set up for the summer with plans for Dibble Hollow. He's the kind that always has to be doing something. I'll show you where there's wood in the barn for that cupboard he's going to make. He won't fool with anything like that, now that he has a good book and is getting ready to write his paper." "You're mistaken, Nathaniel. When he reads the handbook, he'll aspire to become a master cabinet maker." What a time I had pushing that drawer out on him so he would find it. Miles put his hands to his head and swayed back and forth. "That book was my grandmother's prized possession. I hid it after she gave me one of those witches' concoctions for a stomach ache." Miles laughed. "It raised a hullabaloo when that book disappeared. I thought I'd have to go up and smoke before you'd think of that pantry and let that handbook come to light. I must say, you have the imagination of a real Dibble, Nathaniel, even if you are a bit slow at the cipher." "How would you look going up in smoke?" Pug asked. In answer, there was a flash of lightning, a clap of thunder, and Miles disappeared, leaving a thin wisp of smoke which rose and drifted out the crack of the top of the pantry window. Pug shivered with delight. Then he clopped to the kitchen door as fast as he could in the heavy rubber boots. "I'm going out to the barn till lunchtime," he announced. "What happened to that darkroom cleanup?" his mother asked. "I'll get back to it right after lunch." She shook her head despairingly. "You and your father. All right, go ahead. Maybe if you're both out from underfoot, I can figure out what to do with this mess. Dad will build you that cupboard, Mom. You just wait." "That's undoubtedly what I will do. Wait." But at noon, Mr. Allen surprised her. "Our ancestors had to do everything for themselves," he said. "They weren't all craftsmen either. They had to learn the hard way." "Not in the late 1800s, Mrs. Allen observed. "If they had money, they hired somebody to get things done." "If they had money. Otherwise, they did it themselves. I can do anything a Dibble could do." "I found some good wood out by the barn today," Pug offered. "It looked about right for that kitchen cupboard, Dad." "Lead me to it," his father said as they rose from the table. "There seems to be a doubting Dibble around here that we have to convince." Mr. Allen spent the whole afternoon making a drawing and doing the figuring for the cupboard. Pug stopped worrying for a moment about staying the whole summer. He saw his mother's contented look when she heard Mr. Allen whistling over the cupboard plans. Coming soon, Chapter 9.